Hello and welcome, everyone. It's the Osmompreneur Online Festival, and our next presenter today is Karen Dennett of Engaging Education. Hello, Karen.
Hi, how are you? Really excited to be here today.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here, Karen. For people who haven't met you before, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, of course. My name's Karen Dennett. I am a educator. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a professional. And my business and the work that I do is about connecting industry with education. But also, and what I'm going to talk to you about today and cover today is actually the helping people to find the value that they have. So through all of my education experience and planning learning programs and helping to share knowledge and understanding with people and young people, adults, what the knowledge and the expertise I'm going to share with you today is that ability to find people's value, help them to uncover what it is that they know, they understand, that they can share, that value they can bring, and then how they can turn that into raising their profile, but also about creating potentially a second income, looking at a pivot, looking at a change of direction. But it's all about what you have and how you can bring that to other people.
Amazing. All right. Well, I'd love to hand over to you now for your session. And if you have questions for Karen while we go along, please just jot those down and we'll do some questions at the end if we have time.
Excellent. Okay. So am I able to share my slides?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Over to you.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Can everybody see the slides? Can you see them, please? Yeah. Let's start the slideshow. Okay, so today's session is called What's Your Inner Expert? And it's about finding your inner expert. And over the next few slides and over the next hour, you're going to go on a journey of self-discovery. So there's two parts to this session. And the first part of the session is about digging deep and uncovering and finding who your inner expert is. And the second stage is about looking at how you actually share that value and how can you use that value that you have to impart to other people to raise your profile or potentially create a second income. So this is all about possibilities, and it's all about coming from you as a person. So you'll need to take some notes. I'd suggest, if you haven't already, ideally a cup of coffee or a drink. It does need to come from the heart, because this is about you, and it's not just about what you know. It's not just about knowledge and facts. It's about who you are as a person, what you've lived through, your passions, everything about you. You really need to come from the heart, and it needs to be a really heart-centered dig deep that we do. So I'm going to go through this in an hour, but there's no reason why you can't then come back to it and do it in more depth, because it's something that you really need to spend time reflecting. And you do need to be in the right headspace. So if you're not in that headspace now to reflect and to really think about what it is that you want to do and how you want to find who you are and what value you bring, come back to it, make lots of notes, put some really good music on, lift your vibration, and be ready to start again. So, as I said before, I'm Karen Dennett. I am a business and enterprise teacher. I've taught for over 15 years, and I've also been a mentor, mainly for youth enterprise, but also working with adults as well, taking them through the business canvas, developing their side hustles, and helping individuals to learn and grow and progress. Prior to teaching, I was a marketing graduate, and I worked for 10 years in marketing and communications. I've set up many businesses. I'm entrepreneurial at heart. I'm an author, so I've written and self-published a children's book, and I'm also the co-author in the Women Changing the World book. And I'm absolutely passionate about helping others to find what their value is, what makes them shine, and then share that with the world. So what we're going to spend, first of all, 5 minutes doing, and what I would like you to do is to take some notes on the following questions. So it's about establishing where are you right now and what it is that you're hoping to achieve or where you would like to go. So potentially, are you at a crossroads in your life? I know that COVID has created quite a lot of impact for many, especially the lockdowns. And many of us have reached those crossroads where we're trying to decide, should I go forward? Should I go in this direction? What do I need to do now? So are you at a crossroads in your life? And what is that crossroads and what is the decision you have to make? Potentially some people that I've worked with are losing the joy in what they do. They absolutely love, but they got into the work for a specific reason, but now it's just not bringing them joy anymore. So maybe you've lost that joy. You want to find something else that really lights you up. Do you want to find something that really aligns with your values? Perhaps you've been working in an area that potentially you've got great experience and knowledge of, but it doesn't really light you up and it doesn't align with what you truly believe in and you want to make a difference. Maybe you've been on a career break. Maybe you've been out of work for a while and you're just feeling a little bit lost and you just want to explore what skills you do have and how you can bring that value to others. Maybe you're looking to raise your profile as an expert. So we always hear now, and it's a growing trend, that we need to be the expert. We need to be seen as that person that knows everything that we're doing. And, how do you actually do that? How do you raise that profile? And how do you find out what is my expertise and how do I share that? And just perhaps you'd like to create another source of income for your business. So perhaps you'd like to be a speaker or you'd like to write a blog or you'd like to create a subscription. So what is it specifically that you want to achieve? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to write that down in your journals. Okay, did anybody want to share where they are now? And how is there anything particularly that you would like to achieve? No. Okay. So the first stage in finding your inner expert is around what you can actually do. So in this stage, what I'd like you to do is to create 3 circles or 3 columns in your journal and head them up: work, home, and play. Because obviously everything about our life, about ourselves, comes into these 3 categories. So we have the work that we've done in our experience, everything that we do in the home, which is quite a lot, and with our families, and also play. So what we do for recreation and leisure and talents that we've built up through that. So again, 5 minutes. I'd like you to think about and answer the following questions in your journal. So what actions do you repeat often? What do you do regularly that you've built up really good practice in doing? And obviously, what skills then have you practiced? So what skills do you practice potentially in play? So potentially you play bowls, or you play tennis, or perhaps you make cakes. Maybe you are really good and you practice regularly. Maybe you're just the most amazing person at making packed lunches. You've got a system, a formula that you're really good at. You do it every day. And packed lunches is something that you're really good at. You make healthy snacks and so forth. So what skills do you practice? Perhaps maybe it could be cooking. It could be potentially that in work that regularly you have to use Excel or you have to use Word. It could be that you're really, really great at organizing and diarizing. So whatever it is that you do and the actions that you repeat regularly, write them down under those headings. Think about some of the processes that you've created. So you do things very often, and we often have a way of working out the best way to do something. So, if you're doing something regularly, you'll always find little shortcuts, and you'll find cheeky ways to get things done a lot quicker, and they save you time. Potentially they save you money. These little life hacks that we create to make things better for ourselves. What do people ask you to do for them? So often the things that we can do and that we are really good at are things that other people recognize as well. So what do people ask you to do for them? And how often do they do that? Is it something like, for example, people ask you about gardening? People always say, oh, can you come over and help me with the garden? Can you come over and help me? Can you help me to set up a budget? That could be something in work that you're really good at. It could be that people are constantly calling on you because they need help with a specific software. All of these different skills that we have, these are all things that we do regularly. And I know that we always take them for granted. And we think that, that's just what most people do. But this is actually a skill that you could then share and help other people to make their life easier. And obviously, as I said, these things that we take for granted are often things that we find easy. So I'm just going to leave you with another couple of minutes to make some notes under those headings and really think about what are those things that you can do. Okay. So the next stage is, what do I know? So when we're actually thinking about the sharing knowledge and sharing experience, it's about thinking about the actual, what can I explain? So what jobs or projects have I had in the past? So under the headings of work, home, and play, what jobs and projects have you completed that you've had to find information to be able to do? And obviously thinking about what type of information you've needed to be able to complete that project effectively. So for example, projects at home could be the car. It could be creating a project with the kids. It could be having to make a birthday cake from scratch. For play, it could be in terms of, maybe you've had a project that linked into something that you wanted to do for a charity, or perhaps you were working with doing something with friends and you organized a big event for all of your friends and you brought everyone together, organizing your own hen party, and things and projects that you've had, and you had to find out all the information and the best way to go about doing that. So all of that underlying foundation information is really helpful and can then obviously help other people. So what jobs and projects have you had at work that you've had to do? And as you do these jobs and projects, you actually learn the information that you need to be able to do that effectively. So you learn about things like policies, procedures, other people's expectations. So there's lots of underlying information that's really important. What do other people ask you to explain regularly? So in terms of, when somebody has a question and they need some knowledge or some information, what do people come to you and ask you for all the time? That's a really good indication that people see you as being really knowledgeable about that particular topic. But also it's really effective because it helps you to hone in on what it is that you have got a lot of knowledge and expertise in. Another good question that is quite an interesting one is, if there was a pub quiz and you were taking part in a quiz, what category would you score highly in? So what category would it be? Sport? Would it be, maybe you'd have to make up a category, but what is it about that that you would get top score on in a pub quiz? Imagine that you've got the stage for 10 minutes. Imagine someone gives you that 10-minute opportunity to talk about any topic that you love and that you've got lots of information about and that you could talk about for 10 minutes non-stop. What would you share? That's a really good area of working at what your area of expertise is. And obviously, what learning have you done? So have you completed training courses? Have you been involved in, have you got qualifications? Have you actually done some self-learning? So perhaps, as a mum, potentially, if you've got young children who have learning difficulties, you might have done some additional research and investigated what's involved in taking care of children, and particularly from a parent's perspective. So what learning have you done? It doesn't just have to be in a classroom or a qualification. Okay, so moving on. The next step is working out. Of the 3 steps that we go through, the next step is working out, who am I? So in this step, we need to think about, who am I with regards to what challenges have I overcome? So in terms of, this is like your 0 to hero story. So what challenges have, say for example, you had an illness and you had to recover from that illness. Perhaps potentially you have, maybe there was something that happened that was a personal experience, and it could have been a financial crisis, for example, or maybe you were involved in a situation where you felt completely lost and you overcome that. So what challenges have you overcome? And what have you actually achieved in that process? What did you build, and what did you learn, and what do you understand? So in a crisis, who would you be? So would you be the one who is able to step in and help with a particular area? So would you be the person that, consoles everybody? You're the one that's supporting everyone? Would you be the person who is being very practical and making things? So what would happen in a crisis, and what role would you take in that crisis? Think about what it is that lights you up. So what actually lights you up? What brings you joy? If you were in a social situation, what type of discussions would you have? If someone said to you, or your friend said, "Oh, how are you?" and how have you been? what's been good for you this week? What would fill you with lots of joy? Then what would you share? Another good thing is on the opposite side of joy is, what is it that actually frustrates you? Because this is where we find a lot of the time where our values lie. So what are the things that we want to change? What do we find incredibly frustrating? So it could be, for example, something to do with transport. It could be something about the amount of time that is wasted doing a particular task, and there should be a much better way to do it. There are so many things that frustrate us in the world. So, for example, I was very, very frustrated as a teacher about the lack of connection of industry with schools. And so that's what I decided to do. My values were very much, we need to broaden horizons, prepare young people for the future. And I felt that that wasn't actually happening. And that was a big part of who I am. And that's effectively everything that I've built up through Engaging Education, the Future Female Leaders Program, and so forth. So really dig deep and think about, what actually would you like to see changed? And that's then where you find that part where you start to align with who you are and your values. And when was the last time that you actually felt really proud of yourself? So something that you did and you did really well and you felt really good about it. Perhaps another great question that you can ask as well is, you can go to friends and family and people that you work with, people that you socialize with, and ask them this one question, which is, tell me about a time when I was at my best and why. And this is an activity that I used to do in mentoring quite a lot. And the feedback that came back after that exercise really stunned most of the people that asked the question, because they came back with answers that they had never, ever expected. So when other people had seen them shine and other people had seen them really perform well, and what they were good at and how they actually, I guess what made them their very best version of themselves. And then finally, what would your dream project be? So if there was no money, if time wasn't an issue, what would your dream project be to do? And that's, again, another really good indication of what is important to you, and also what you think that you can do and the value that you can bring. Okay, so looking at the time, I'm actually going to move forward now. And what I'd like you to do, and I'm going to give 5 minutes for this, is when you compile all of your notes together, is to think, bring all these different notes that you have, so your home, at work, at play, and identify and complete the following sentences. So you need to answer the questions. I'm good at, I am able to, I love to, I value, which comes from those frustrations and so forth. I am, so who am I? And I am compassionate, I am kind, I am driven, I am determined. So all of those personal trait words. I'm organized could be one, and I can help others too. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes now to focus on those areas and write down the sentences, because this is the definition of your inner expert. And in the next stage, we're going to move on to what you can do with that inner expert. So while we're on a 5-minute working, if anybody has any questions, please pop up now and ask any questions. Okay, so you've got about 2 minutes left. If anybody would like to share, please pop up in the messages. And if not, we'll move on to the next stage. Okay. So then, now that we have got our inner expert, once you know who you are and you understand what it is that you're good at, what you're able to do, what lights you up, you're in a really great position now, and you've defined your inner expert, and you can start to work out how you can add value to others. And the way that we do that is we create a canvas. So we create this is working through the business canvas concept, but looking at it from the perspective of us sharing our inner expert and reaching out to people, because all of the steps in terms of the entrepreneurial steps in the business canvas are relevant in terms of the knowledge canvas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the stages of the canvas and how you can use the canvas to plan out and map out how you would share your inner expert, because it's exactly the same concept. So the first stage in the top left corner, so obviously you should be writing notes or jotting this down. The inner expert course is going to be released on the 3rd of February. And in the inner expert course is going to be full resources and the ability to actually map this out within the canvas. But for this session, what we're going to do is I'm just going to take you through the different stages. So first of all, the first stage in the top left is when. So what I would like you to do for this, when you're planning this out, is to think about when is a problem occurring. So, for example, say your inner expert is the ability to decorate cakes, and you're really great and you've got some amazing hacks and you know how to make a kid's birthday cake really effectively from home, and it's a hack for parents because it's for people that are busy, it's literally the night before and they need to create a cake for their children, something they can easily create and knock together by running up to the IGA because they've left it too late, they've been busy working. So you've got somebody, so you need to think about when is this problem occurring. So obviously the problem's occurring the day before, maybe a couple of days before. You've got a parent who wants to create a really nice birthday cake or something that doesn't look really bad, and they want to get something. They don't want to just go up to the celebration cake shop and make it. They've possibly left it too late, maybe a little bit disorganized. And in this situation, they're the day before, they need to make a cake and they need to make something really effectively. So what they need to do at that exact point is they need some help, because these people are not necessarily skilled and they don't know how to pull it off. They don't know what to do, and they just need some hacks and they need some ideas, and they need to know how they can actually create this great cake for their child. So it could be, for example, that you've got somebody, so I'll give you a great example. This morning, my car key didn't work and the engine wouldn't take over. But I knew that I was able to go online and type in the MG3, why is it MG3 not turning on? Said it was to do with the lock and the battery. So then I could quite easily go straight to YouTube, and I found a video telling me how to change a battery, what battery it used, straight up to the IGA, change the battery and sorted. So there's so many things. So you need to think really about what is that problem that is being experienced, and how your inner expertise and the value that you bring. It could be something far more complex than that. It could be that, you know, you've got parents who have got a child who they have just discovered their child is type 1 diabetic, and they need to be able to understand how they can care for their child, the child's medical needs, how they're going to support them. And so you could be a nurse. It could be a nurse who has worked with diabetic patients, who's decided that they want to now share that knowledge and expertise and put all of that into some online courses and some packages. But the actual when is that problem first experienced, and when, more importantly, does that person recognize that they have a need for a solution? Because lots of people have problems all the time, but they don't necessarily want to do anything about it. So the when isn't just the fact that when they're experiencing it, that's important, but it's about when they recognize that they have a need to solve it. So the next stage in the canvas is the who. So this is when we really need to build a profile, and this is very much marketing related. So who is it exactly who is most likely to experience that problem in the when? So who is that person in that scenario? And obviously it could be potentially anybody that's experiencing it, but who is most likely? Because those are the people that become your target audience. So those are the people that you're going to invest your time and energy into reaching out to, because they are most likely to use that solution, and they're the most likely to engage in what you have to share. So in terms of who, you would want to break them down, and you want to create a little profile of them. So thinking about their lifestyle, thinking about their habits. So what social media do they go on to? What platforms are they engaged in? Who do they share their problem with, in terms of, you know, who are they most likely to, ask questions to? Where are they most likely to go? Are they do they work? What's their income level? How do they solve problems? What's their usual approach? What do they like? What do they dislike? So trying to build up a profile of that person. And if you don't know, the best place to look is to look online, and to once you've identified the general idea of the person, start looking online and looking at, you know, what are they posting? What are they sharing? What's important to them? And you can start to build up a really good profile of the people you're trying to reach. Oh, just go back. So the next stage is what we would call on the business canvas validation. But for the purpose of our expert canvas, we're going to call it pain. And what I mean by this is pain level. So as I said before, people have identified the problem. They know that they need a solution, but to what extent is that problem painful enough that they want that solution, and they're prepared to invest their time, invest their money and their energy into investigating that solution and taking that solution from you. So how much of a problem is it to them that they want to find a painkiller, a solution? So in order to validate, then the best way really is to look at, you know, how many people are out there doing it. Are they doing it well? What are people complaining about? You know, how many people are, you know, identifying this as a big issue for them? Maybe you could find some stats, you could ask around, put some questions out there. If it's a professional service or expertise that you have. You could maybe put a poll on LinkedIn. You could put a question out on LinkedIn, ask other professionals, maybe send a few messages to find out what that problem is. When we did our Be the Difference program, we started with girls. We moved into offering programs for boys. But before we did that, we actually reached out through LinkedIn messaging and through our professional network to find out exactly what are the biggest challenges that men experience today and what they feel that young men need to learn to be able to best prepare themselves for those future challenges. And the response was actually quite incredible. And we realized that this was a pain point and this was something that needed to be solved. So then obviously we come into the next stage, and the next stage is solve. So this is where you think about your solution. Now, there's different ways that you would share your expertise, because it's essentially, it could be a service that also becomes a product if it's an online course. So depending on how you want to share this. So for example, the information could be so big that, it's quite a lot for individuals to take in. So say, for example, we take the diabetic nurse example. There might be quite a few things that you might want to break down in stages, and some things that people might not need straight away. So if the information that you're sharing is in different levels and stages, you might take a little bit, you might need this information to start with, but then as you process that and as you go through your journey, you might need a little bit more. So self-paced tutorials would be perfect. Online, accessible, easy to get when you need it. Other options could be, you could reach out to Karen McDermott and you could decide that you want to write a book. Karen's very passionate about sharing stories. And so, you might solve your problem by creating a how-to book. You might start a blog. So blogs are really good because you actually get to share your personality and build your personal brand as you are sharing the expertise that you have. So blogs are great, same with podcasts as well. So you can actually share through podcasts, interviews, engaging with people. So if you're a great connector, that could be your skill. Your solution could be connecting with experts, connecting with other people and sharing that knowledge. The solution could be your coaching. So say, for example, you're in your 60s, retired, and you've been playing bowls for, say, 5 years. You've got really good at it, and it's something that you love. You've actually rose up in your skills and you're playing for the club, maybe for the state. And you've got all these new couples that are newly retired that are looking for something to do, probably a little less impactful, and they want something to do, and they decide they're going to start doing bowls, but they have absolutely no idea how to play. So you can then use that expertise, that ability, what you can do, what you love, what you know, and then you can create a coaching package for people that are new to bowls to help them in the club, or you could travel to different clubs and help them. So it's different things like that. So coaching, blogging, podcasts, being able to create online courses, maybe perhaps in webinars as well. So what is the solution that you're going to use to share your understanding and your inner expert? The next stage is standing out. So this is your point of difference. So just because there might be hundreds of other people on YouTube that are doing something and sharing similar expertise to you, it doesn't mean that that you can't do that. It just means that you need to find that part of you that is unique, that part of you that is that brings that value, something that nobody else can share. So potentially it could be your 0 to hero journey, or a lived experience that is really personal to you, that you can bring that value. Perhaps maybe it could be that you've got a specific process and way of doing things. So, you still may be, making packed lunches for kids. And there's lots of ideas out there for how to make packed lunches for kids, but maybe you've got a really specific, personality and process, and you deliver it in a really great way. and it's funny and it's engaging and you're real. You know, the amount of times I've tried to make packed lunches, and I'm not going to lie, I'm really rubbish at packed lunches and my kids are really bored. But, you know, I struggle for ideas, and I would absolutely love it if there was a really down to earth mum who didn't try to get me to make the most incredible packed lunches that are just something that are just totally unrealistic for me. But they're just like little hacks and little ideas. I would so buy into that. So little things that you've got about you that are different, relatable, real, engaging, those are the things that help you to stand out. So working out, and a lot of that comes from that first stage of identifying, you know, what lights you up. You know, what do other people say when you were at your best? So those types of things are the things that create what makes you stand out. So the next stage is share. So sharing is basically the sales funnel, but looking at it from the expert perspective. So when we create the engagement with people, we need to let people know what we're doing, right? So we need to share. We need, and you know, whether you do that through, so if you were coaching bowls clubs, say you were the bowls club coach, then your sharing would be completely different. So you might say, you know, reach out on the social media pages of all the different bowls clubs and announce what you're doing. You might connect directly and go on to not LinkedIn, maybe go on to, you know, send personal messages. You might connect through the organization, the association of bowls, for example, if there is one. You might have posters up in the different clubs. You know, you might start to or think about the organizations where people are going to when they're looking for something to do. If, as opposed to, if you were delivering expertise around leadership quality or leadership skills, then you're most likely to start with LinkedIn and building up that profile on LinkedIn, making sure that you're regularly posting, making sure that you're posting on other people's LinkedIn posts, making sure that people understand that you are the expert in that area. Maybe, for example, sharing could involve doing some speaking gigs. If you are, you know, say, for example, what you're looking at is for parents, you might want to connect with local schools and offer to go into those schools and run a talk free of charge for parents, just to start building up that awareness. And then you then mention that, oh, you know, I've got this online course and you can follow this up with more information, because let's face it, as parents, we go to these talks and then we walk out and everything just is like your mind's just been wiped when you leave, unless you make lots of notes. It's very easy to forget what you've learned and you get really excited and motivated, but then when you come back to it, you forgot everything that they said. So actually having maybe a book or having an online course is something that they can then go, oh yeah, I'm going to tap into that and I'm going to use that. So sharing, there's lots of different ways to share, but most of that relates back to the who and what it is. What is that problem you're trying to solve? So, and when are they experiencing it? The next stage is need. And need is all about the resources that you need to be able to share your inner expert. So if, for example, you decide you're going to do online courses, you know, you're going to need something a bit better than just Zoom. You're going to need to create, you know, get a good camera. You're going to need to think about the professional development and the learning that you're going to need. So, you know, I know that there are some great people out there that are doing courage on camera courses that can help you to prepare for that. So what skills, additional skills and training do you need? Do you need a camera? Can you borrow a camera if you need one initially? Are there any resources that you're going to have to create? Do you need a website? Do you need social media pages to be able to start communicating and letting people communicate with you? So it's thinking about maybe what you need is a list of people or a list of clubs or a list of schools that you're going to reach out to. But you need a comprehensive list of the resources you need, and they don't have to cost the earth. You can actually do this quite cheaply and quite effectively just by thinking about thinking outside the box and thinking about the best way that these people, when they're experiencing it, thinking about their habits and their lifestyle, thinking about the best way to reach them. The next stage, the penultimate stage, is the goal. So with regards to the goal, these are like what obviously in business you would call your KPIs. So your key performance indicators. They're measurable outcomes that you want to achieve. And it's really important, even if you're just doing this for fun, you're just doing it as a side gig, maybe you just want to raise your profile. It's really important to have measurable outcomes because it helps you to keep track and it helps you to feel like everything you're doing is worth it. So say, for example, this could be the number of people you've got on your email database. So maybe you want to get 50 people that are on your database who are receiving, say, a newsletter from you every week, or they're subscribing to your blog. It could be the number of people that tune in live to a session that you run. It could be how many coaching clients that you have at any one time. It could be the number of people you've got on a wait list. It could just be, how many you could link it to habits and good habits. So I write a blog every week without fail. So, and then slowly you then start to increase the readership. It could be the webinar series that you've got a certain number of people who have signed on to get your webinar, or maybe people that have downloaded the free trial and then converted to a paid series of courses. So whatever it is, you need to have some measurable goals. If it's a YouTube channel that you're creating and you're just giving away free tips, then obviously it's going to be the number of followers that you have. But whatever it is, it's always good to have some measurable goals to obviously feel like you're making progress, to feel good, but also to evaluate, is what you're doing effective and are people really engaging? And if not, why not? Maybe you're not tapping into them, maybe you're not reaching them correctly, but it's a great evaluation tool. And finally, the final point is gain. And this is really in terms of the monetary value of what you're going to achieve. So it's looking at how you're going to charge for your courses and your knowledge and your expertise, and what the costs are that are involved. And obviously the costs are linked to your needs, and ultimately, if you are going to be trying to run it as a small business or a sideline or a side hustle, you're going to really want to make some money from it. Unless you're purely raising your profile, you're going to want to make some money. So with regards to gain, what we'd be looking at is, so there's many ways you could make money. You could subscribe, you could just charge for the course. You could have a tiered package, so where you have, a number of bite-sized courses you've got a free trial, then you've got a series of bite-sized courses that are a small price each. Again, you're just investing. Then you could then go into a webinar series. People could sign up for webinars, and then you could obviously even offer coaching. Perhaps maybe you might want to charge a group coaching rate, which is cheaper than charging a one-to-one coaching. Maybe, you might just have a book and you're selling that book. Or maybe the book could be free. You could create a book that goes alongside your courses, and people get the book for free when they sign up for your course and coaching. So there's lots of different ways that you can package and create the expertise and the knowledge that you have and how you can charge for it. And it's just about working out what, and this then again links back to that point of pain. At what level is the pain that people are willing to pay, engage, and give their time? And it also feeds into the share, which is the funnel. At what stage is that person in their relationship with you? So is it that they have a good relationship and they trust you and they advocate? So then potentially being a coach or coaching them and being working alongside them might be one way. Or perhaps they're still at that stage where they're not quite sure and they just want to see something for free. So this is where they go onto your Instagram site, or they potentially find you on YouTube There's lots of different ways that you can do it. You don't have to do all of it. You can start really small. But the most important thing in this whole session to take away is just to understand that there are possibilities, that you have something within you, you have your knowledge. Nobody else has the same combination or the same variety of things that you can do, things that you know, the things that light you up, your values. You are completely you. Nobody else is like you. And what you can use and how you can share that and bring that to the world is just a value that no one else has. Now, what I would like to be able to offer all of you is we have created, it's only 3 weeks old, but we've just created and launched our Inner Expert socials. So on Instagram, you can find us at Find Your Inner Expert. And every week we'll be sharing guest 5 inner experts I need in my life right now. So that's loads of ideas. So you'll be able to click on the post and find ideas for something that you could potentially do. And it's also a bit of a call out as well, because someone might say, oh, you know, I really need someone to help me with this. You might be doing that already. So you can tap into that and reach out to them. We share guest blogs. So we'll be sharing other experts' blogs, that something that you might not have seen, you can click into. And we'll also love to share your blogs if you've got them. Expert for experts. So these are the people that can, once you've found your inner expert, these are experts that can help you to build that expertise. They can teach you about blogging. They can help you with getting a website up and running. They can give you advice on short courses. Obviously, Karen McDermott, perfect for if you want to write a book. So there's lots of different people that can help you, and we'll be featuring those expert for experts. And also, you've also got the My Inner Expert. And this is just like a little video introduction to you, saying who you are, what your inner expert is. So going back to that initial slide of who you are and what you bring, what value you bring, and then how you use that value to help others. And again, everything has links to your social sites. And it's a really going to be a great community for everybody to both share and gain value. So I've actually reached the end of the presentation part of the webinar now, and I hope that you've gained some really good insights, and that you are able to go away, think deeply, think about what you bring, and use the canvas and use the different stages to work out how you can share that with the world to make it an easier, more convenient, less costly and effective, better place to be.
Thank you, Karen. That was amazing. So, Karen, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best place to connect with you?
Well, at Find Your Inner Expert is the socials for this particular information. But the best way, if anyone wants to email me, it's karen@engagingeducation.com.au, or I'm on LinkedIn as Karen D.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I was just wondering if we've got any questions for Karen. If you've got a question, please just unmute and jump on screen. We'd love to hear from you. So Karen, Find Your Inner Expert, that's your new offering, but you also have Engaging Education.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is your work with schools and youth and.
Yeah. So we've worked with schools for side hustle mentoring, side hustle development, engaging young people into creating enterprises. And our most recent program in partnership with Eating Your Cake Too has been the Future Female Leaders program, which has gained a lot of interest from businesses and organizations and corporates who provide professional mentorship. And we develop the girls, they create social enterprises, and they also gain investment into those social enterprises. So that's had an incredibly successful pilot year, and it will expand next year. So watch this space for the Future Female Leaders.
Yeah, it looked incredible. I saw some of your updates on social media about the program, and Yeah, it's so exciting the work that you're doing with these
Thank
young
you.
girls. Yeah.
Yeah, they blew us away on Thursday. They had a little bit of TED Talk training, but
Hmm.
their presentations were outstanding. And there wasn't a single person in that room who didn't walk away saying, wow, these girls have got such a great future. They all are. We've got one girl particularly who is creating her own book on body image and sharing, some body image reflections and so forth. So look out for that. It's going to be a very emotional read.
Sounds incredible. And yeah, what wonderful work to be doing to bring forward the next generation of female leaders who are going to be women changing the world.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's anyone in WA that would that's interested in, coming on board, there is a landing page, futurefemaleleaders.com.au. You can go on there and express your interest on the level of involvement that you want to support. And the more people that can share, really, the better value that it brings to these young women. It's lots of diversity and different perspectives.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Well, thank you so much for your presentation today. We really enjoyed it. And thank you to everybody who joined us live and everybody who's watching on the replay as well. So now we're going to go to our next session, which is a panel. So I'm just going to set everything